Hello and welcome back to the Real Niche Tea podcast. I hope you enjoyed episode 1, my introduction. Today's episode is a bit different. I'm going to be talking about a love letter to immigrant children. So today's episode is really going to dive deep into what it means to be an immigrant child, the sacrifices your parents had to make, and how you can live your life without feeling guilt for not accomplishing as much as you think you should, not doing as much as you think you should, not being who your parents want you to become. Before I get started, I just wanted to say a big thanks for listening to my last podcast episode. It got 10 saves, and that's pretty huge for me. I started from nothing, so I had 0 listeners beforehand and only a small number of followers. So I'm just very thankful and grateful for those who are following, those who are saving. So to jump right in, I want to just talk about my story. So I came here when I was 2 from Jamaica. I don't remember much of Jamaica. I've only been back twice, guys. I know. But I think that there's beauty in knowing the sacrifices my dad had to make to come here to Canada. I never take for granted a day where, I see him getting up early, going to work. And then I never take for granted me going to university and the beautiful education that I'm guaranteed and all the things that I got to do growing up, like dance, choir, swimming, gymnastics, you name it. My parents really put me into spaces where I could feel like I was a Canadian even before I got my citizenship, right? So I think that there's beauty in knowing that, my mom, my dad, they made these sacrifices for me, but I can't help but sometimes feel a little bit of guilt, a little bit of shame, a little bit of anxiety, because there's so much I want to fulfill and so much I want to give back to them that I feel like in this lifetime I want to make sure that I can do that. But the only way I can do that is if I'm taking care of myself, looking after myself, putting my all into my studies, putting my all into work. And there's so much pressure that I feel sometimes because I'm like, nothing I will do or ever do will compare to the struggles and sacrifices they had to make for bringing me here from Jamaica, right? Like, nothing that I will ever know. I won't know struggle. I won't know pain. I won't know poverty. I won't know all that because my parents make sure I have food on the table. My parents make sure I have clean water. My parents make sure we have electricity. They make sure we have heating in the winter, AC in the summer. They make sure I'm doing my best in all that I do, right? They're my biggest support system. But sometimes I just feel so much innate guilt that it's like I'll be doing my studying or I'll be about to clock in at work, and I'll just think of all the things that I want to accomplish and give back to my parents. And that does bring a wave of anxiety over me because I'm like, will I get there? Will I accomplish these things? So I think that just being easy on myself and knowing that this is a process, it's going to take time, it's going to take patience, it's going to take a lot. It's going to be hard. It's going to be rigorous. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be challenging. But just knowing that, I have God on my side. I have my parents on my side. I have friends on my side. I have a huge support circle, and they are all there for me and ready to drop anything and help me, which I am so grateful for. And I think that a lot of people listening to this podcast can relate to the struggle that you feel as an immigrant child or a child to immigrant parents, whether you're a first-generation student like me or the first in your family or second in your family or first in a new country to accomplish something. It's a lot. It really is a lot. And I think that, you have to kind of take it day by day, step by step. That's all you can do. It'll be tough. There will be days where you'll feel like quitting. There will be days where you feel like, am I doing enough? Am I going to be able to buy a house for my parents? Am I going to be able to buy them a car? Am I going to be able to give back to my parents in the way that they gave back to me? Every day I think of all the struggles and sacrifices my family had to make to come here to Canada. And, going to the embassy, getting paperwork filled out, saying goodbye to family, saying goodbye to friends, saying goodbye to all that they knew. And it's tough because, again, I will never feel that. I will never feel that pain. I will never feel that amount of struggle. I will never feel that amount of suffering. I will never be able to equal anything to what they have sacrificed for me. What about those who grew up in Canada, surrounded by those who were Canadian? Like me. I went to school. I went to elementary, high school, and preschool here in Canada. And I think that it was hard. It was hard trying to fit in sometimes, some students, some students have all their aunts and uncles in Canada and see them for Christmas. But for me, I only have one half of the family that I can see, and the other half is unknown. And I hope that one day I can join them together and bring them to Canada and file for papers and file for family members to come here, start a new life, have me as a sponsor. You know what I mean? I felt different going to class some days, felt different when we would talk about families in class or different things like that. It was tough knowing that half of my family doesn't have the same luxuries that I do. Half of my family won't get the education that I will. They won't get the meaningful life or a vibrant, loving, full life, full of opportunity, full of, and I feel for them. And especially when the earthquake hit, when the hurricane hit, just knowing that, everything that they have is taken from them. The devastation of the Hurricane Melissa was crazy. It was crazy. It was the worst to strike Jamaica, right? People are still suffering now from it. So I think that when I look at what I have around me, who I have around me, I can't help but be grateful, but I can't help but feel guilty as well, because family members out here are struggling, out here are looking for clean water, looking for food, looking for even new clothes on their back. And my greatest struggle is if I'm going to pass my classes, doing part-time work so I have spending money to go out with friends. My struggles are so little compared to theirs. And I think that I feel guilty some days knowing that there's not more that I can do right now, but in the future there's more that I can do. So that brings me back to that kind of pressure that I feel. I feel like at times I'll sit there and I'll think of all the things that I have, and I'll just want my siblings back home to have these same things and these same feelings. And I really do hope that I can bring them to Canada and that they can do their education here and get their university degrees in Canada. But I also feel for the fact that that might not be possible, or that might not be financially possible for me. And that does scare me because I want to give back to my family in all the ways that I can. And yeah, like I think that through the years, I've learned the importance of just letting things be, being grateful. But I also, again, that guilt does creep up every once in a while. And so I think that just accepting that, there is some things that I can control, some things that I can't. And this is one of the things that I hope I can control, is them being able to study here, being able to work here, being able to live here. Me being able to call them, hey, I'm coming over to your city, or hey, I'm coming to your house down the street. That's what I want out of life. I want to be able to be surrounded by family who never got the opportunities that I have, and I want to be able to give back to them. And yeah, like I think that through the years I will be able to obtain that, but it will take time, it will take effort, it will take pain and struggle. But I just hope that one day when I'm looking back at all these feelings of guilt, of stress, of anxiety, that I can look back and laugh one day. Like I really hope that I can look back and laugh and be like, you know what? I was so stressed, but look at me now. Look at me now. My family's surrounded by me, surrounded by family. I have my family here. They have all the opportunities that I have. And yeah, the next thing I want to talk about is feeling ashamed or othered by those who are not immigrants. So I think that, I was embarrassed sometimes to bring Jamaican food to class. Ew, what's that? Ew, that smells. Ew, that's not regular food. Things like that would be said, and it would just be kind of crazy to me because, I was taught manners and politeness, and I would never sit there and critique someone else's food. Like, food is food. You know how many people go to school without food? So for me, that was something I had to go through. Another thing that I struggled with as being an immigrant child is losing touch of your language. Like, I moved here when I was 2. I was told I had an accent. I was told I could speak patois. But over time, that left me, and that fluency and that language and all of that is gone. So my lineage will not have patois unless they learn from my dad or hear it from my dad. They will not know how to speak it. And to me, that is a bit sad. Like, I wanted to be able to pass down languages, pass down, stories, things like that. But I just was not around the language enough. Like, I think that there is a Jamaican community here in the city I live, but it is very small. And there was not a lot of kids who were from Jamaica who I could talk to at the time when I moved here. So those language things did not stick at all. Your accent and your language is literal proof that you know more than one world. You can connect with more than one type of person. And I think that is beautiful in itself. But I also think that, it makes it tough. I think that there is a lot of shame when people speak their language. Like, they feel shame or shy about it because it's different than the white kids. It's different than the Canadians. But I think that we need to be speaking it more. We need to be more aggressive in the way that we use it, and use it with pride, not shame. And I think that is something that we can work on as immigrant kids. I'm gonna just end this podcast with a little thing I wrote down. This is my love letter to you. You are not a burden. You are not a problem to fix. You are a story worth protecting, a future worth investing in, and a child who deserves tenderness. I think if there's one thing you can take away from this episode, I want you to feel confident in you being an immigrant child. I don't want you to hold back who you are for others. I don't want you to think less of yourself because you are an immigrant child, because you come from an immigrant household, because all of these things. I know there's so much going on in the news with ICE, with different things, with immigration laws, anti-immigration laws, racism and stuff like that. But you need to lift your head high, carry yourself with grace, and remember each and every day that your parents made sacrifices for you to come here, but you are equally just as important and equally just as Canadian as the other person. Thank you for listening today, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.